Part 2 of the Punters show featuring Grahame Begg, and it's time to get into what we normally do at part 1. Matthew, before we do man of the match, our man John Walter, get around this bloke.
Johnny Walter, yeah, lucky for those in Pro Better Live chat room who got access to his full Sydney set. So John had a massive day, a couple of big winners, tipped a few in Melbourne. His horse Le Passe as well won again in Melbourne.
What do you mean his horse?
That was one of his ones that got him to the $1.2 million nose that he missed out on a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, so really, John Darren was our star recruit in 2014, and John Walter is the star recruit of 2015, that's for sure. John's stuff is just really, really good, and if you follow him, whether it's the $20 set, you'll have an article on that as well too, won't you?
Yeah, John's...
So we're a nursery now, are we?
Oh, we are.
Yeah,
breeding
ground.
We are a bit of a breeding ground.
Yeah, so
like
John's...
the Woodcock joint. That wasn't meant to be a joke.
John also has that $20 service,
Well,
which
that's a
he
breeding
does
ground
with
with a
everything.
twist.
Yeah. So check out the article. So with John Stuff, it's either Pro Better Live on Saturday, which is really good with him and Darren and all of us in the chat room, and the $20 service throughout the week, which basically Matt's tips are, 3 or 4 tips at least every day, depending on whether he hates the meeting or not.
Generally, he focuses on New South Wales and countries, his sort of bread and butter, but he does also go to provincials and Victoria and New South Wales Metro too. So.
Beautiful. Yeah. And so that's one bit of housekeeping. The other bit, Glenn, is the 100k Derby Day tournament.
Gee, it's going to be exciting, Dal, and they're going to reach the amount.
Yeah, guaranteed amount. Yeah. What we're going to be announcing, I'd say.
No, I know it's guaranteed.
Yeah.
Are they going to? No, they might have to throw in 30.
Well, if we sell it hard enough, Glenn, they don't have to.
Well, come on board, okay? It's a lot of money.
No, but we've got an idea about this. What people can do, there's going to be teams. You know, like how they have teams in X Factor and whatever.
Team Australia.
You know?
Team Australia?
Team Australia, yeah. So there's going to Steve Fletcher's going to have a team. So if you want, people will be able to buy him for $100.
Oh.
There's going to be the young boys team of Matt, Aaron, and me.
Wow.
Young boys, still
young boys. But you're under 40, aren't you?
just in 2 months I'm not. So it's Fletcher, there'll be team Darren Potter and Anthony from Melbourne.
At the picnics.
And team Pollitt.
Oh, is there?
Yes.
So you can come and join my team.
Yes.
Does he have a team?
Well, you're going to be able to buy into your team.
So what you can buy into my team.
Yes.
And I do the selections.
Yes.
And you can be a part of the action with me.
That's right. And start favourite in the 100k.
Right, so do I also get to have just one by myself?
You can have a little side one if you want. Yes.
So I'm sort of banking on winning the 60 for me.
Yeah. Well, you can do both. And run dead for your team.
No,
it's not Glenn Pollitt, it's Greedy Pollitt.
I'll stick. Well, it's always Greedy Pollitt.
Yeah.
But I'll stick solid with my team.
Yeah,
I didn't know anything about this. Dallas just.
I'm just telling you.
Tell us who this is as we speak.
I didn't let you know because I just knew at the moment the 1,000 might be a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
So the other big news that they've let us know, you can get a jackpot into the tournament.
Yes.
So normally it's $1,100 for a full ticket.
Yep.
But you can jackpot Friday through the Manikato meeting.
Yep.
And Saturday the Cox Plate meeting.
Yeah. And what's the buy for that 100? Is it?
Yeah. 100.
So you can get in. So if you win, and that'll be probably paid down to first 5 or
on
something.
Saturday
like
it was 5.
Yeah.
So they gave away 5 tickets.
Yep.
Yeah, my mate Jazzo Rabbit 14 was he ran second, I think, or third.
Yep. So he's in the first.
He automatically gets entry into, so he saves himself $1,000.
By paying 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like poker, isn't it?
It's poker.
Yeah. 100k Derby Day. 100k Derby Day. Get around that as well too. Yeah. All right, boys. Grahame, Randwick on Saturday. How do you think it all played out, and how are you seeing the track there and what's happening at Randwick with the tracks and all that?
One thing I've noticed since they've redone the Randwick track, it seems to race the fairest, and I think Mark would probably agree that when it doesn't get any irrigation.
Is that what's happening?
We're not watering heavily, and we've had no rain.
Yeah.
And it always seems to race best and the most fairest when that's the case.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, they stay close to the fence, and none of this business of shifting off the rail, halfway through the program. And I think every horse seems to get their chance. I've also noticed over the last few years that Randwick, particularly in the October-November months, they get really fast tracks early.
Yes.
It's unbelievable. I don't know why it is, but you know, whether the wind direction's got something to do with it or whatever. But, you know, last few years, I think Northern Medial broke the track record 1 year. I think that's a good idea, broke the track record same time of year, you know, so...
Springtime, eh?
Yeah, casino dancing.
Almost a mile record.
Exactly.
Forget secret admirer, he's casino dancer.
So there's something in that.
There is.
It's an interesting point, because from the punter's point of view, we're always against the hoses going on, but the trainer's point of view is often, I don't want to race on hard tracks because I've got to go back and patch up my horse. What's your position on that?
Look, I think that obviously if they put some irrigation on early in the week and then they back off, I think that's a pretty fair thing. Look, it's always very touch and go Randwick, because being close to the coast, you know, you can often get, you know, something come over the coast and there's a bit of a downpour, you know, 4 or 5 mil or whatever, you know. But I think that they've done a very good job. They've got a very hectic schedule this month. I think next Saturday's their 4th meeting in a row. In 4 weeks, and then they've got the big Melbourne Cup meeting after that. So Randwick will be looking for a nice rest after that. I'd say probably, you know, that may not race again to Villiers Day.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, moving on to the racing, boys. I suppose Hellbent was one of the big stories of the day. Ty Anglin said...
Was it that bad, alright? Everyone's been going on about it, but it wasn't that bad. We finally get a favourite beat in Sydney, everyone wants to pull the bloody...
I think what he did early in the race was where he's jumped a little bit slow, looked around and just...
I think the horse's own inexperience sort of did help his cause, you know, in the straight. Because he had never been in that situation sort of behind horses. He got a bit sort of, you know, not sure of himself. And you could see he wasn't happy, sort of being sort of a little bit, you know...
He's out of his comfort zone.
He was. Whereas in his 2 previous wins, he was in his rhythm, and away he went. You know, he looks a good horse, and I wouldn't think the punters would be giving up on him.
And did you predict that Connections would want to take a sit this time?
It wasn't about wanting to take a sit. I mean, there was urgency out wide, particularly Gerald's horse with the blinkers on. There was every chance that he was going to be in a different situation. Dallas made that point. I made that point on the Friday show, where it's, you know, he's going to be asked to do something different here.
And if you owned it, knowing what you know, what would you have suggested being would you prefer him to drive and hold the fence?
He was never in a position to do that, ever. I don't think, even with that intention, it would have necessarily come off.
Okay.
You know, he was in a squeeze box to begin with, wasn't he? And it was just...
He was box 5.
It was always going to be a high pressure race. I think Spill the Beans, I think it might have blinkers for the first time, and, you know, drew out a bit, and it was always going to be rolling forward.
The step to Saturday. It's a tough gig.
It's a tough gig.
Really, the winner was a good price.
Yeah, absolutely.
But really, when it's all said and done, because,
exactly right.
you know, I mean, say it ran some pretty strong races, you know, during the winter months and that, and had some, you know, reasonable form around some good horses.
Grahame Begg with the punters hat on.
Yeah, exactly right. It's beautiful.
But it was a Saturday horse.
Oh, no doubt.
Exactly.
No doubt.
That's a typical Waller look like it planned. That thoroughness of Chris, is that one thing that has been the real big part of his success?
No doubt. And, you know, it was well planned, and you know, blinkers on first time. You know, it was ready to explode.
The pattern's there.
What about this? Now that you've had a chance to step away for a little bit, are there a few things that, if you do come back, you'd try a bit differently?
Oh, I think, look, you're always learning this business. You know, you never say you know it all, I'll tell you now. You never say that. You just watch the way things happen.
Do you think it was harder being a trainer's son, like a good trainer's son?
Oh, it's no doubt.
Yeah,
no doubt. And look, also too, he had a big string of horses, my father. He had 60, 70 horses. You know, we were never going to be anywhere near that. You know, we always sort of, you know, had half that sort of number, and we were happy with that, sort of being comfortable with what we were doing, sort of thing, you know. Never wanted to get too over big if you couldn't sort of run the operation the way you want to run it.
Exactly. What did you have to say about the track wives' tale about the Beggs being better than the fillies?
I think the fact is that my father got a lot of fillies to train, because a lot of breeders raced fillies. They kept their fillies, you know. If they could, you know, the well-bred filly, they didn't want to send it to the sale. They didn't want to lose that, you know, line of stock that they had. And ones that couldn't get sold through a sale, you know, they all seem to retain them. It's a bit different now with the big dollars are on offer to sell. So, you know, a lot of them do sell now.
Actually, your father had one of the best little fillies I ever saw, and you'll remember really well, early 80s, Fiancé. Remember Fiancé?
Yeah, she was brilliant. Yeah,
beautiful,
She wasn't that big and just all
No,
racehorse.
she was a good filly.
Did he
she
train
was-
quite a little drink? No.
No, TJ trained her.
Oh,
The Snowden Quinella with Dothraki, and that's a good idea. Pete,
all I can tell you about the Snowden stable is that they're from a punting perspective, they are a stable that just get highly involved with, because they just don't also come across with the old Timmy Martin 7-4 boom.
yeah.
You can get on all the time. I took $11 to ask Jockey on Saturday.
Was it? Did you guys talk about the extra trial on the preview show? Is that what
No,
was
we
different?
needed you. Where are you? Like, you would have to come back.
No, I only looked after the race. But,
Yeah,
Did you get sacked as well?
I got sacked. I think I
Well,
looked at
Aaron
Dothraki.
didn't turn up.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
that's right. It was, yeah, the trial person wasn't here. Yeah, one thing about Dothraki though, Glenn, it presented a lot. It hasn't really gone all that well first up, but it definitely was a lot more tuned up this time than we've seen it first up before.
My word. And he was great.
So is that
racing.
the first time he's had it first up? I can't remember. Like, you know, Dothraki
I think he sort of had it half first up last time. Would that be right? I think it was about its first run for Pete would have coincided almost with them.
Right, so Gerald had it over New Year.
Yeah, I think so.
Short break.
I think he might have had it for a couple of weeks.
You're right.
Anyway, stable to just stay with.
Pete Snowden at Randwick, was that after your time or about the same?
No, he was there.
Yeah.
He was training there for about 12 months.
Yeah.
And that, so they got a good operation, and their horses look
Very,
good.
very big operation.
Yeah, they've got huge numbers of yearlings, well, they're 2-year-olds now, this current season, and the horses always look very well.
Yeah,
They do
they
very
do.
well.
They do. It would have been a big shock to the system though to go from that highly managed Darley, I'd imagine, where everything you want is just
How's he done it?
a phone call away to
How's he
dealing
done
with 4 million owners and that. It
So
would
I
have been a
suppose
shock.
being a workaholic helps.
Yeah.
Tipping is a workaholic. But when you think about it, how's he done it?
Yeah.
It's a great effort. And then the other, and go to the flip side, you got the, cranky pants. He's now running O'Shea's joint. How's he staying? How's he doing such a good job?
He's another workaholic.
You workaholic.
Right, but these 2-year-olds were desperate to be laid on Saturday. Talk about the Godolphin 2-year-olds. Like, there was an enormous amount of resistance to Morton's fall.
My word, there was.
Huge amount of resistance. And who was driving that, and what were they seeing?
Look, this all happens out in Bedfieldland. I mean, how do you know?
I don't know. Well, you looked at the horses. What did you think?
Nice style of horses, look well.
Nothing to perceive there. Nothing to see there.
No.
No, nothing. But are they any good? You know, I mean, like, just
think
because they're Godolphin doesn't mean they're good. I mean, they're the lower ranked ones of them,
Well, I
aren't
think, what's it by Ad Valorum?
they? Is it right?
Yeah.
Right, so homebreds. they're-
Homebred, And I think the thing that came out of that race on Saturday was the old adage, horses will run under its belt.
Yeah, exactly.
Got the cash.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And
It was a good win.
run.
It was a good win
It
up
was
at
a good
Armadale.
run.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
especially for a 2-year-old coming here with, fans.
It was easy to like.
Oh, and paraded great, and was
Great.
probably the best back run on the race,
and
wasn't it?
thank you to the bookies who were still betting $5 at the finish when it was into $4.50 on the fair.
Oh, really? Yeah. There's also the trial watchers all said from those first Randwick trials that they were probably one of the weakest sets they've seen for some time.
Okay, so what's going on here? Are we?
I
Are
think
we
I
seeing-
think there's a couple of real ones though in that.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
But
But
a couple as opposed
You're
to
saying it's a
7 or
hollow
8.
set.
Well, I think it's hollow because Gay isn't with us. I mean, Gay would be providing a great depth to these
Where is
races.
she?
Graham.
She's gone to God. Maybe she passed away and Robbie hasn't told anything.
Has she lost Colivos full time now?
Not full time though.
No. He's just selecting
Surely
now.
you can't go full time. Piero's like
You still got some residual for Fiero.
There's Michelangelo, but
I'd say he's gone basically full time.
Oh, you're saying gone. What about his brother?
Yeah, and the brother too. These are all private jokes.
James
All right.
Cummings doing a good job, Graham, ruling Dynasty.
Yeah, no, the horses are racing well, and they seem to be placing them well.
The other thing I've noticed about the provincials is they run through them.
Yeah.
All those horses are going up and down, and there's his horses going.
Yeah, no, they haven't been frightened to take them to the provincials either. Like when Bart was around, and you wouldn't see his horses go to Wyong.
No.
They'd go to Kembla or Newcastle, but they seem to
big
take,
track.
big track thing. So they seem to be taking their horses to these other tracks, and the horses are racing well at the moment, certainly.
Did you notice much difference from what James has done to what Bart was doing? One thing that we've noticed in the yard, their horses, a lot of the horses are generally a lot more forward first up than they had been with Bart.
I think there's no doubt about that, and they're racing like that
Yeah,
too.
absolutely.
I think James said that when we interviewed him. He said he got taught, especially late, if you've got a nice horse or any horse, don't be afraid to, don't be soft on them. I think he said he's taking that through. I think you can tell.
Yeah, I think that's also coming down to treating it, adapting to the business of it in 2015. It's fine to be barred and win a Melbourne Cup every year, but that's not going to pay the bills, is it?
Certainly not. And I think too these days, you know, scrutiny, the horses have got to be right up to the mark.
Yeah.
You know, right from the get-go.
Right.
Watches,
No kid and barrier trials. Oh, well, apart from the Corporate Cup.
If they're not up to the mark, if you vocal.
You said that.
Yeah. Well, the stewards almost did themselves.
He's an interesting caricature, James, isn't he, when you think about it? Because let's just put it in perspective. He's going to be a good horse trainer for the one reason. He's married Kuwanko's granddaughter, so he's never ever going to play up on her, ever. So he's not going to be into rooting, right? He never has to ever think about money for the rest of his life because he's Bart's grandson and Kuwanko's grandson-in-law. So he never has to think about money. So two of the major male plays in life, rooting and money, have been taken away from you, and you never have to give him a minute's thought. So now you just become a hard-working trainer.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be your out.
Yeah.
Your escape as a male.
Yeah.
You think of it. Yeah. Like he never thinks about money. And how are you going to play up on the broad? No way, no.
All right, but
She's got 47 billion
so
grand.
where's the testosterone go? Because I mean, ultimately,
So the testosterone goes into producing the horses, and we can't wait to get to wild.
And firing up at Punters
Very
in
interesting.
cafes.
But that's what I'm saying. He's a real caricature. His life is. That's what it's going to be. He's going to be a racehorse trainer because that's what's going to give him his. Oh yeah, he might.
Also, isn't there a bit of tension between him and his dad? It's sort of there must be.
I always feel there is.
Yeah, like I think that if I was James, I'd be wanting to show my dad up.
You head to Malaysia.
Honestly, but I'm thinking I'd like to stick it into my dad. Anthony goes.
Okay. All right. Anyway, doing a good job though. Beaten up, did not participate.
Well, this is the big story of the day, and no one batted an eyelid. Like Beaten Up took no part in that race.
I think there's an article on the Punter show.
I know. But the Steward's report just said Beaten Up slowed again.
Yeah.
Like
The Steward's reports are becoming.
Right.
They're down on staff because there's a Steward's report from Wyong. I'll get to in a second. Go on, Mark.
how did all those punters feel that were on Beaten Up, watching the horse approach the gates or not approach the gates?
Yeah.
Did you see it? Like it wouldn't,
Yeah, it wouldn't go in. No,
His
exactly
heels,
right. Dug its toes in.
and then it just flops out of the gates and tails the field all the way around. You know, makes a half-hearted effort to pass the field.
And what can they do? What? Because it didn't want to. What do you do? Scratch it? Well, how do you scratch it?
No.
but
I merely said
let's
there
talk
was
about
no sort of like expose about it.
right.
No, like, gee, you know, everyone's a bit concerned here. You know, what happened here?
I've been losing, so I've been a bit more keen being with my videos. And I had 300 each way and one at Wyong. 300 each way, like it's $600. It is 25 hours labour of driving a cab. Like it's a bed.
It's on Saturday.
Yeah, and I've been that filthy with Samantha Clinton for 2 days, and then I rechecked it this morning and I noticed it was Alina Skerritt, but that's another story. I thought it was Sam Clinton. I've been that dirty on her. The Paul Perry trained horse that they call Wildenstein, that jumped
61,
beautifully.
Yeah, 51. Yeah.
It doesn't matter, had a great chance.
No.
Just went straight back to last, just swung on it like a googie egg, and then the straight. It just did not take any part at all and could have pissed him. I went to the Steward's report. Oh yeah, Wildenstein was slow to begin. Well, it actually jumped nearly in
That
front.
was afternoon tea time, you know.
There's something wrong with the Stewards. There's not enough of them because the information we're being given.
Is it not enough of them?
We
or
know
not enough
you're.
good
We know,
ones?
and everyone goes, "Oh, she's a little 3 kilo girl." What does that mean?
Yeah. He's still
The way
entitled for
she
an
rode it,
explanation.
she should be 15 kilos.
Right. You're
check out the replay of
That's
Wildenstein.
absolutely right, but you've got to have a look at a horse like Beaten Up, which started 280 on a Saturday in the second last. But that's carrying a hell of a lot of punters.
Yeah.
Okay, that's carrying a hell of a lot of punters, and that horse, they must have been left feeling like so empty after that.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Is that racing? What about the people that backed Sasson-Cole? It did a reverse and went backwards and fell
Yeah, but
over.
it's
I mean, you'd be not terribly impressed with it. I backed in.
of course you did. Everyone knows you were that.
Straight after Wildenstein.
First past the post.
Yeah. There you go, Glenn.
Go near the camera.
Yeah.
The
This
microphone.
is that. Yeah.
No, I just think that, you know, when something is that lackluster,
Yeah.
it was.
Look, it's reminded
I
me.
didn't like it. I wasn't in the Beaten Up van.
It reminded me a lot about the United States at Moonee Valley. If you're going to get back on a slow pace, and you know you're in a shit position, you might as well at least start participating at the 800
I
metres.
suggest the horse couldn't.
You were just saying it wasn't.
I'm saying that horse wasn't there on Saturday.
Okay. Yeah,
Well, I might have been telling you that when it
Wouldn't
wouldn't go on the gates.
Yeah.
I'd say that's...
Check out Wilden's on the
Yeah,
tapes and email me at the show. Tell me what you think about the ride.
It was a
provide
strange
the
thing
link.
to see for
Yeah,
a horse
provide the
that
link.
old to do that.
Yeah, you don't see that too often, older
And
horses.
also,
You dig the toes in.
Yeah.
And 8 blokes around trying to lift it in.
You're a trainer sitting there and you see a horse like that,
I wouldn't be happy.
no.
And a big apology to Sam Clinton out there from me for the last 2 days calling her a C, you know what, and then I just young Alina.
In Costa Line went back, Montauk went forward, it was the favoured runner and it won.
Look, I suppose, you know, I looked at that horse and I went, was it having its 6th run in its first prep, and Glenn had just like, you know,
Didn't
he
participate the start
gleaned
before.
around a week before, but obviously Waller's going, well, you know, I'm getting it ready for this mile race here. And I'm going, well, yeah, you know, you think you're clever, Chris, but I'm cleverer, but I wasn't.
Yeah. All right.
Is it Vanbrugh? Just slowly coming up.
No, those horses are never to be backed again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Put a line
Yeah,
straight
that
through all
was-
those
Oh,
horses.
Vanbrugh has a chance at the Cox Plate, I'm reading.
Vanbrugh will play chance in the
Of
Derby.
course he is, of course he is.
Vanbrugh might be in the Derby, boys. Didn't go out.
Right, so speaking of Cox Plate,
Keep
what is
aiming
it?
on. There you go.
The
You heard it here
VRC
first
Derby.
if you haven't already seen it in an article.
Really?
Yeah, well, it's falling away. The horse was never put out for a spell, and it's probably going to run in the Victoria Derby. There you go.
What, off the Champion Stakes?
Yeah.
Like our motor...
Monaco.
like our lawnmower horse of last year, Hampton Court.
Yes, that's right, exactly.
Where is Paul Hampton? He's only
He's-
4
He's
year
gone to
old.
stud.
Oh, has he got a stud too? He's
Won his Group 1 race?
He's gone to stud in Victoria.
standing for a sensible fee of 75,000.
475,000. Did they get 15% of that one too? Maybe she's retired all these 15% size.
She has done well out of the trailing.
Grahame just hasn't said a word.
Can't say anything.
Telepathic should have won. Moral victory.
What do you
and
mean
then
should have won? What are you talking about?
got held up. It got beat ahead, and it was held up for most of the. For half
Yeah,
the
look, I disagree with
You
you.
do?
there.
Okay.
It got out in plenty of time.
Yeah.
Look, it surged the line the last 50
Yeah.
metres. I reckon the leaders were coming back to it, more so than it. It got out in plenty of time
Okay.
to win. I went back and had a look at the replay of it this morning, and
Jeez, you've done a bit of work for
it's
this.
done a little bit of work. Yeah, it sort of
I'm
got out.
off. You
Got
want
out, it got out,
I'm going to sack myself.
It was going to run into a pocket, but then it got out plenty of time. You know.
You should have
So
done,
you're saying
you
had
should have
its- had
done
its chance.
a bit more for them and worked out who you were on the show with. You were never going to come on and look like a spastic. You should have done a bit more for us.
Right.
So you're saying that, but moral victory for Timmy Martin.
For Moral Victory's first ever run at Randwick.
Was it? I didn't know.
And, you know, I'm thinking Randwick would be a suitable course for a Moral Victory. But anyway, there's Moral Victory. Then they weren't giving it away, were they?
No.
It wasn't given away in that race. It's outgamed Wild and Famous, who has you know,
Did
when it went
particularly
round.
well.
Who?
Wild and famous.
Well, it was put in the race.
But what
Okay,
about,
so
what
go
about how
back
it
2
looked
starts
then?
back. 2 starts back, Wild and Famous wasn't put in that 1200 metre race when Casio lad. She did it. She just went back and did it. And then at Warwick Farm, Hugh went, oh, I'm 3 deep. I'll just sort of like sit out here. Whereas on Saturday, it was like, right, we're not fucking around this time.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah, but
But also, it doesn't really go to the line, does it?
well, it was very strange. How much it changed as a horse? Like you see Wild and Famous week in, week out. Yeah, it's just there. It is. It's a horse. And Saturday it was like, wow.
But there's 2 runs back for you because you
Wouldn't
have
sit
it
at
on
Warwick
the
Farm,
Monday.
but you were pretty much the same.
I
Though,
would've.
Glenn. It was just sort of it became a really nice looking horse all of a sudden.
Anyway, it was good to see Timmy win a race.
Yes.
It was
In
good to
town.
see.
Yeah.
No, honestly.
Yep.
Well, that's the first
Um,
race he's won in town on that horse as well because Steve Wilson won the other 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
pro Timmy?
Well done.
You're pro Timmy?
Oh, look, I've known Timmy a long time, and
It's hard not to like.
you know, he's a good guy, and
He's hard not to like.
he's had a few issues, and
Who hasn't though?
yeah, exactly. Everyone's got issues.
We've got issues. The other winner's good project on the backup.
I can only get off
project went
heroin,
really
I'll
well.
be alright.
You've got to get on heroin.
Oh,
It's the other way, and the pipe. We're still going to see it on the
it's
pipe.
just another five.
Good project. Has it got any scope, Glenn? Because it went really well on Saturday.
I thought it went really well. It surprised me.
You guys are pretty keen for the mounting yard, weren't you?
Yeah, it looked great, but it's looked great all prep though. Glenn tipped it first up. Is it?
I don't know what to think of it. I just don't like talking about those type of Waller horses. Montauk, good project, you know, Vanbrugh. I don't feel for Vanbrugh early now. What's going to win the Cox Plate?
Yeah,
for me,
yeah.
you know,
So I had a feel for Winona early too, and then you dropped
yes,
off.
Yeah, I just can't really talk about it. Just
You and Steve Collar, you are you know,
I know
you guys are always ahead of, you're always ahead of the curve.
And then by the time I get onto the curve, I lay them, and that's when they're winning. Yeah, I know who I am.
Yeah, or on Sassett Cole, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember I did back that horse in the Maiden in Melbourne off Loose.
Weekend Hustler.
Weekend Hustler.
Have you heard that
$8.
story, Grahame? Found Weekend
Sale.
Hustler.
I'm in a Maiden. The horse walks past me called Weekend Hustler. Oh, fuck, look at this. I had 2,000 each way at $8 on Country Thursday. Reference. And I remember thinking, gee, I think it's a good horse. And then come out the next start, went straight to town. It was 2 to 1. I'm going, what's
Hang
this
on.
fucking 2 to 1? Around 1.8.2 or something, 1.7.
Right,
And I
so
went,
those tails of the turf would get people in. They have got people in from time immemorial, but we're going to run shy of those tails, aren't we? People are going to disappear. They've got those tales to tell.
Absolutely. The character gone.
Well, my mates, they're all 30. They're all talking about sports betting.
Yeah.
I got a couple of mates we talk about horses, but the rest, no interest.
Sports.
at all.
Yeah.
Because they can't. Young boys these days, with all the drink and all the lines of rack and Sheila's fucking within 2 minutes of meeting her, they've got that much else on their mind that they haven't got the brain capacity to then go through the form. They go, oh yeah, I'm doing that line, give us a drink, I'm banging you, oh JT. You know what I mean? It's kind of, they've lost their ability to develop mentally. Would you agree?
They only want to bet on numbers.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah. Numbers or a footy team, which is A versus B.
Where did Aaron sit in that group?
he's in this. JT. You know, like we're backing
Mitchell
from
Pearce for him, yeah.
It's just all, it's big. The world has retarded itself a little bit. We know that.
So has anyone picked up the tab handouts at the track?
No.
Because I mean, the tab's latest line is know your form, but they have never lifted one finger to explain the form to anybody at any time.
No.
So, but I didn't mean to pick up the handout to see what it said.
Yeah, that's the educational side of things, isn't it? I suppose Randwick, Naili won, and the Country Race ran by Grain Proposal, but the Caulfield Cup obviously was on the weekend. We saw the fallout from that and the Stewards Refame game, Glenn.
Well, it wasn't really fallout. It was questions asked. I think they were legitimate.
Grave concerns is the quote.
Well, Zach come out and Zach raced it during the week. He flew over Zach.
Yeah.
Got off the plane, rode it. Said this horse will definitely be long. Got on the plane, went back home. It's a great effort.
Yeah.
Like, it's 40-hour round trip for a 1 hour game. And he just basically said, I'm going to be done Saturday.
Yeah.
Well, not that he was dead, but you know, like he said this horse needs longer.
Yeah.
That's the way the horse raced.
That's true.
Yeah.
So basically, and that I think there he is when watch this boy because he thinks that he's having a look around.
And then you draw barrier one, and all of a sudden it's like.
But I agree with Zach. I've always stuck up with Zach. You know, what's he supposed to do? Yeah. Jump over the top of him?
Well, the next
was he
point.
any worse than a few other rides in the race?
Well, the next point is the instructions that Terry Bailey has now put down. Said you've got to ride the horse like this in the Melbourne Cup.
Zach should do exactly what he wants to do. It's a Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, that's right.
Tell that Terry Bailey to stick it right up his, where the sun doesn't shine.
What happens if he draws 24?
That's right, exactly. Well, as I wrote yesterday, what happens if he's coming around, he's in the perfect running line, he's peeling out, all he's got to do is pop out, go right and let down. Does he then have to go left back into the pack and stay there and get the horses, making the horses
Terry Bailey and this whole Steward, they should be, look, enforce the rules and shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Stop telling people how to ride horses.
Yeah. Exactly.
It all started with, you've got to give us the instructions. Imagine if I had a horse, you didn't want to give anyone instructions.
Grahame, have we had better eras of stewardship?
I think it's the scrutiny is the issue. You know, where they're just, as Glenn just said, about riding instructions.
Yeah.
You know, that change of riding instructions. And I think I'm happy the way it was in the old days. You know, like
Try and win the race.
We try to win the race. Do your best.
Try and win the race.
You know,
if there's something untoward after that off the tapes,
totally right.
you drag him in.
Right.
You're
That's
right.
Exactly right.
You know?
But just enforce the rules. Don't. It's a bit like, I tell you what drives me mad when I'm watching the rugby league and the ref will say, let's use JT. JT, you're offside.
Yeah.
Don't tell JT's offside. If he gets in the game, give a penalty away. The rules makers shouldn't be part of the event. They should enforce the rules.
Like I know certain situations when I've had runners in the past, they say, but you've gone forward. I said, hang on, there's no leaders in the race.
Yeah, exactly.
It drew an inside gate. Where do you think the horse is going to be? You know what I mean? It wasn't you went out to actually change what you'd normally do.
No.
My horse used to always run a bit off the pace, you know. But And I know of instances when things happen like that, so I just think it's too grey area
Yeah,
myself.
I mean, look, if you've got a back marker that's going to go try to lead by 6 lengths.
Well, it's different if you've got a Scotch and Dryer apart, but
Yeah.
you've got to lead by 30, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You say, okay, I'm going to neck this at the start,
Yeah.
just take no part.
Exactly.
That's a different thing.
If it's a massive thing, it's black and white,
Oh,
yes. But if it's instead of being 8th, I'm going to be 5th. And
it,
you've got,
it creates all this hysteria.
yeah,
and-
You know what I mean? People in the
Yeah.
media play it up,
Yeah.
say, oh, this didn't do what it was supposed
Yeah,
to
exactly
do.
right.
And a lot of times they'll make an announcement before a race. They say, oh, this is rolling forward here today. Next thing,
Straight out the
it's
back.
back, yeah.
Cap,
And,
even
and,
looks
and,
worse.
Yeah, it looks
and
worse.
that is, and Chris Waller, who's probably the most in the change of tactics, the record of getting the tactics right on the change isn't exactly exemplary, is it?
So how many? There were 3 horses that were supposed to be.
Oh, well, we had a
forward,
double
but they-
change on Saturday, remember? We had, what was it? Oh, mate, in Costa Line, initially was announced it was going forward. Then they said, hang on a sec, it's going back. The double change, that old play.
We've had the course announcer, Grahame. I don't know if you've heard this. We've heard that the trainer has advised that the rider wants the horse to race where it's comfortable. What is that? I prefer most of I like my horses to race uncomfortably because I'm always uncomfortable in the run with my business.
Yeah. Anyway, all right,
In the
lovely.
Punter,
Sorry. Oh, we just got a few tweets, Glenn. Ben, unfortunately, with the new weight scale, we'll see more apprentices on horses at the top of the weights. Turn punters off. Yes, no, maybe?
Yes, that's true.
Grahame, apprentices, would you rather carry a big weight or an apprentice?
if they're good apprentices.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, if there's someone coming through the ranks.
Otherwise, you want to ride it.
I want a rider.
Yeah. Damien Hellbent shifted into the 800 metres, started all the problems, but then England looked like a deer in headlights, no plan B.
He didn't look to have a plan B. I think that's a fair comment.
Yeah.
But let's not get hysterical. The favourite Sydney finally got beat.
I'm so upset that we're talking about hellbent or beaten up or whatever it is. Can you let them lose? And
Yeah.
say,
Can they occasionally get beat? Like that?
Yeah,
two
but I
horses.
think the horse looked like a deer in the headlights.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
that's
when it
very
got in
good.
behind horses,
That's
it just didn't know what it was doing. You know, it's never probably been
He
in that
looked it on the wrong
situation.
leg too at
It
one
did. It
stage
was uncomfortable.
between the 3 and the 2.
And that's another thing. What happens with horses? You know, they go out in the barrier trial, and because they've got speed, and obviously it's a non-invincible, that horse, and it's jumping in a trial and running. It's never running behind horses. And they get into a race, and the situation changes. It misses a jump. Next thing, it's cluttered up amongst horses. Horses, oh shit!
Yeah.
What's happened here?
Yeah.
I've never had this
Yeah.
happen before. You know.
Yep.
So
There's a bit of pressure mounting on, whether it's true or not, mounting on Ty England. He's got a couple of nice rides lately, that one and then press statement.
Press statement, yeah.
It's sort of mounting,
Yeah.
like Sydney riding ranks is looking for the 5th rider to emerge.
Yeah.
He's been presented with 2 opportunities, and I think owners would be jumping off ship.
well, he
he's a
came
good
out and won
rider.
the next race.
I
he's a
agree.
good rider.
It's good
Grahame,
riding.
we refer to the big four of Gunn, our man, Blake, Huey, and James McDonald.
That's our
Where do
big
you
four.
sit with the riders in Sydney?
I think you probably got it pretty well right there.
Yeah.
You know, the top 4. But, you know, Agon's, he's a good rider, no doubt.
You're an
he
Agon?
gets, yeah,
I agree
he gets on the right horse. He gives him every hope. Look, you can't help what happened there on Saturday. The horse was a bit tired at the start and then got out of its comfort zone.
So getting back to the
So who is
whenever
number
you had a
Just quickly, mate. Who's number 5?
Who's number 5? Well, but you'd say Tyler.
You're saying
Oh,
Ty.
no doubt.
Yeah.
Collins a good rider.
Pollitt, and
He's a
it's-
good
it's-
rider.
it's
He's a
got
good
a-
rider. He's a good rider.
Needs more consistency though, doesn't he?
Clipper's
He
not
does.
5.
He's
Mate.
probably,
No, he's not 5.
He's not mature enough to be 5.
Tommy Berry's riding like he's, 10 or 11 at the moment.
And now he's on this horse that he ran.
He gets
Did
the
he ride
best
the thing in the quarter
opportunities.
cup that ran second?
Yeah, he was on the top of
Yeah.
Can't he find a ride?
Yeah, you can find a ride.
The other thing I've been thinking about, these couple of guys which have come back from Hong Kong,
Yeah.
you know, Timmy Clark and also Christian Reef, they've never really come back, you know, with the gusto
Yeah.
with what they went with there.
Yeah,
with.
exactly.
You know, that normally they'd come back, like Ty went back and he's ridden up a storm since he's come back. But they just haven't been able to get any sort of traction.
Especially
since,
Christian.
Yeah, since
Yeah.
they've got back. You know, I don't know what it is. They've lost their ties with the certain stables, but they just sort of haven't been able to really, you know, get the traction.
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
Christians
get it going.
especially, that he's just.
I used to love backing Christian pre-overseas.
They're good jockeys too, you know.
Yeah,
You
but
just
it's
got to get on the right.
What-
You got to get on the
what
right
turns the
cattle.
switch? I mean, like there's not much between them, I suppose, but there is that switch of difference between those top ones and the other ones. What is it?
What it is,
Yeah.
it's making the decision, split-second
Yeah.
decision.
Yeah.
Like look at Huey the other day at Caulfield.
Yeah.
You know, he just looped the field on the Lloyd Williams runner. You know, pace slowed up.
Yeah.
He was supposed to roll forward early in the race, and he's back you know, he slipped out of the gates and he just rolled forward
Yeah.
halfway through the race. And
Was
just,
Mr. Bailey happy with that move? It's a good question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Was that different to the way the horse raced before?
Yeah, well, the horse missed the start the previous
Or would
start as
Mr.
well,
Murray, he'd be happy then? You took off.
you took off.
You dirty bastard.
And then when you got to the front, you didn't, and then you pushed the button again. Why'd you do that?
Anyway, Mark, what you saying? You were going to say something, sorry.
No, it's all right. We'll just roll on.
How do you guys rate performance chance in the Cox Plate?
It's definitely a chance.
Furman, Cox Plate.
I think the reason why it's here and not the Caulfield Cup is the weight situation. If it did well in the Caulfield Cup, it would have got a weight penalty, and the stable have obviously targeted the Melbourne Cup now, post a new target.
Without a mile and a half run.
Well, you can do it. It's been done
Oh,
sort
no,
of
it's been done.
in recently. Yeah, I
So what are you going to say?
No,
Cox Plate
prefer-
barrier trial or barrier trial?
think they know it's not that well suited, and they've got Kermadec. They got a couple of others.
They got Winks.
But what about this? Furman has won the Vic Derby, which doesn't count. Early 3-year-olds.
Yep.
And he's run motherless in the AJZ Derby, so he actually hasn't got any distance for him. His
Yeah,
good
there's
form is winning at Randwick and winning at Flemington.
Term.
I think that'll be the thing that'll stand him in good stead for Flemington for
Yeah.
2 runs there for 2 wins.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
a little bit like the horse of Lloyd's that won the Derby and backs up won the Melbourne Cup. Grey horse, efficient.
Efficient.
Yes, the last ones. Too.
Yeah, it's the EI year.
But I think your numbers are saying Preferment's win in the Turnbull was
Right,
plus 10,
right,
which is
yeah.
puts him in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the shape of Mooney Valley might just maybe not.
Anyway, Keith said Miles apologises for his call of the Caulfield Cup. Jesus, did this race
What happened
Dave?
there?
Oh, he just
Told it,
lost
Meg.
it. He's-
Magnolia Khan. The whole
Magnolia
Hong Kong
Lane.
Darren has called Last Wish New Wish, and that's a good idea, not a good idea. And what is this fucking bolted up stuff all the time? Oh, it's bolted up. Where does it come from?
I'd ask Dallas.
You know the thing that irks me?
What?
Broadcasts. The Godolphin Blue.
Oh,
Okay, we get it. It's the Godolphin Blue. We know. Every time I tell you the best, the worst is, and he's the.
Good being a critic, isn't it?
Oh my God! It's the centre of attention at the moment.
coming
I know he doesn't
coming
need to
back
do it.
next week?
Anytime. But Greg Miles.
Yeah.
The Godolphin Blue. Well, okay,
Godolphin
we
Blue,
know
yeah,
it's
yeah,
Godolphin.
yeah,
You know, we
yeah.
know they race in the blue. You know, but they all
Is he
do it.
making distinguishment? Doesn't Aquanita have a similar blue down
Oh,
there?
no, that's the Aquanita blue.
Yeah, I know.
It's just,
I know, but still and all.
Yeah, yeah,
They
the
do
blue.
it up here too.
it's like golf commentators. That's a good golf shot. It could be just a good shot, can't it?
There's a quest for theatre going on amongst the
Yes.
Right.
callers at the moment.
Yeah.
Good point.
And
That's
it
a good
may be affecting the actual call of the race as opposed to
A lot of them
theatre.
love watching the European stuff where they can tell the story about
Yeah.
the classy
Yeah, because
horse
they have
and-
3 runners.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Anyway, yeah, so Greg was apparently sick leading into it and he's just stuffed up the straight. He could hardly actually, when you listen back to it, he was lucky to get through it actually.
Right, how long has he got, 2 miles? Because I mean, when I was in year 11 at school, he was calling these races.
yeah.
You know, and that's 34 years ago.
Wow, that's a long time calling horses.
Davies has said, is there a service where we can sign up to have Glenn have some choice words over the fence for us? That'd be it. Tweet,
Oh, that's like
tweet your abuse. You just say, God,
Hold on, I've got one from at. Fuck you, you know.
rent a demonstration.
what do you reckon?
I did mention to Greg Ryan on 101 chance on Saturday. Greg, this is no good. You only get $50 out of something like this. One of the younger stewards did piss himself. He did have a good laugh about it. It was pretty funny.
And Dom, to finish up with, we said, question primarily for Mark regarding SPs. How do you assess horses coming off a big run and a massive SP? Does it initially make you query the quality of the race and or the race was run? In what circumstances would you give it a lot of credence? Keep up the good work. Dom.
Yeah, not many circumstances, Dom, because I mean, so a horse usually starts along the price because it's got a long shape, and obviously horses do, you know, can defy their betting ring assessment, but generally it will be a strong candidate for a fluke run.
More forgiving first up, maybe one that comes to mind straight away. We mentioned a lot. Press statement.
Well, that was first start. Now,
First start,
obviously,
that's what I mean.
first start is in a bracket order. So,
Yeah.
you know, first starters are, the betting ring is the betting is poorly advised when it comes to first starters, and performance is carries more weight than SP at that stage.
Beautiful.
And there was one from at the picnics, Anthony Jook, an
Yep.
email.
Do I know him?
You do know him, you know him very well. He just wanted to say how Racing Victoria must be laughing. They've just posted their new figures post field race fields, and a massive increase. And he was just saying how They must be laughing. Racing New South Wales paid for all the court cases. And, hey, there's watched and watched and that. We'll just do what they did.
And they're riding off their back.
Exactly right.
And one more thing before we end part 2. The big news of last week was T. Griffin.
Yes.
Yes.
Massive
Huge
news.
news.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Terry
Like,
Griffin,
you
Betting
know,
Steward.
Like Murray created that job with Terry in mind. And
I think Don Byrne had a bit to do with it.
yeah, so that was 1995, isn't it? That long ago. I
20
remember,
years went past
you know, it was
quick.
just before Octagonal and Shane Dye, wasn't it?
Well, he's been a real asset for them. And he'll be not only sorely missed, but sorely hard to replace.
I'm looking forward to the replacement.
Right. So I noticed they're advertising 2 positions, one about integrity and the other.
Betting Steward.
Betting Steward,
I think
yeah.
they're separate
What's the
jobs.
story?
I think they're separate jobs.
Has Terry been doing the 2 jobs?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Maybe.
And this,
He'd be capable enough.
the press release said he was going to a punting research and something role.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to
Yeah, Dr. Nick.
expand
Dr.
on
Nick.
that?
Are we allowed to say that, Glenn?
I don't know. I never said it.
It's Dr. Nick.
Yeah,
He obviously he's looking for a new challenge in his life.
Well,
Obviously,
I'm
he'd be more
so
willing.
happy for him because
How wouldn't
honestly,
you, mate?
can you imagine standing there and doing the form as that thoroughly on those horses for 20 years and watching all these other people play
Yes.
and you not play?
And he hasn't played one day in 20 years. Imagine, not just saying to Glenn out wide, listen, just have 800 on this for me, would you? Like, you know, he is the ultimate in like discipline,
Self-sacrifice.
in self-sacrifice. So to see him working for Dr. Nick, maybe get into the track with all of us and
it's so good.
have a
We might have
monkey on
another
something now and then and enjoy the actual game, which is why he would have got into the first place.
Yeah.
Well, you remember when he used to work for you,
Yeah.
and before that he'd
loved
go
it.
down to Canberra with Phil McCormack and
His father was a bookie, I think, at one stage.
Or Bookie Stark, I think. Might
Well,
have been.
they're just, he's a wagering person that spent 20 years
Yeah.
in the purgatory, whatever you want to call it. He's a good Catholic man, and now he's moving on to heaven. He's sweet. So he's worked
Well done, Terry. Good luck.
Happy days.
Into part 2.